On October 15, 2023, the confession that shattered the Santos family wasn't delivered in a courtroom or police station. Instead, it came during Sunday dinner at Carmen Santos's dining table, where her 67-year-old brother Miguel finally broke 36 years of silence about what really happened. To 16-year-old Maria Santos on her walk home from Desert Ridge High School, Maria had been the kind of teenager who colored inside the lines. Honor roll student, captain of the debate team, and the daughter who still asked permission before staying out past 9 p.m. On November 3, 1987, she left school at exactly 3:15 p.m. for the half-mile walk to her family's modest adobe house on Cactus Road, the same route she'd taken every day for 3 years. She never made it home. The initial investigation focused on the obvious suspects. Maria's boyfriend, 17-year-old Danny Rodriguez, became the primary person of interest when witnesses reported seeing them argue outside the school cafeteria the previous week. Detective Frank Morrison spent weeks interrogating Danny, convinced that teenage jealousy had turned deadly. But Danny's alibi held up under scrutiny. He'd been in detention with Mrs. Patterson from 3 o'clock to 4:30 p.m., a fact verified by school records and confirmed by 6 other students. The search for Maria consumed the tight-knit Hispanic community of South Phoenix. Her mother, Carmen Santos, organized prayer vigils that drew hundreds of volunteers. Her father, Roberto, took leave from his construction job to personally search every arroyo and vacant lot within 10 miles of the school. But it was her uncle Miguel who seemed most devastated by the disappearance. Miguel Santos had been Maria's favorite relative, the fun uncle who took her to Diamondbacks games and taught her to drive in empty parking lots. At 31, he was young enough to understand teenage problems but old enough to provide guidance that Maria trusted. When investigators questioned him, Miguel appeared genuinely heartbroken. He'd been at work at the auto parts store until 6 p.m. on November 3rd, a fact confirmed by his employer and time clock records. The case went cold within 6 months, without witnesses, physical evidence, or viable suspects. Detective Morrison moved on to newer cases. The Santos family continued searching, posting flyers and holding annual remembrance ceremonies. But hope gradually faded into acceptance that Maria's fate might never be known. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. In August 2023, Miguel Santos was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Given months to live, he began making peace with his past. According to his sister Carmen, Miguel had been acting strangely for weeks, avoiding family gatherings and asking unusual questions about forgiveness and redemption. During that October Sunday dinner, as Carmen served the enchiladas Miguel had loved since childhood, her brother suddenly began crying. "I can't die with a secret," he whispered. "Maria didn't just disappear. I know because I was there." What followed was a confession that destroyed everything the Santos family believed about that November afternoon 36 years ago. Miguel revealed that he hadn't been at work as his alibi claimed. Instead, he'd left the auto parts store early, using a sick leave request that his supervisor had forgotten to properly document. Miguel had driven to Desert Ridge High School that day with a specific purpose: to confront Maria about something he discovered a week earlier. While helping Carmen clean Maria's room, Miguel had found letters that revealed Maria was planning to run away with Danny Rodriguez after graduation. The letters detailed their dreams of leaving Phoenix, getting married, and starting new lives in California. For Miguel, this discovery triggered an obsession that had been building for years. His relationship with his teenage niece had crossed boundaries that the family never suspected. Miguel's frequent babysitting, his insistence on driving Maria to school events, and his unusual interest in her social life weren't signs of a caring uncle. They were evidence of inappropriate feelings he'd hidden behind family loyalty. When Miguel confronted Maria after school that day, their conversation quickly escalated. Maria was walking along her usual route when Miguel pulled up beside her, demanding she get in his car so they could talk privately about her future plans. When Maria refused and threatened to tell her parents about his inappropriate behavior, Miguel snapped. According to his confession, Miguel grabbed Maria's backpack, pulling her toward his vehicle. During the struggle, Maria fell and struck her head on the concrete curb. Miguel claimed the injury was accidental, but the result was the same. Maria Santos died on a sidewalk 3 blocks from her home, killed by the uncle she had trusted most. Panicking, Miguel loaded Maria's body into his car and drove to a remote area of South Mountain Park, where he buried her in a shallow grave beneath a cluster of mesquite trees. He then returned to work, punched his time clock, and created the alibi that would protect him for the next 36 years. The investigation that followed Miguel's confession revealed how thoroughly he had deceived everyone, including investigators in 1987. The time clock records that seemed to provide his alibi had been manipulated. Miguel had asked a co-worker to clock him in earlier than his actual arrival time, a favor that seemed insignificant at the time, but provided crucial false evidence. Miguel's behavior in the days following Maria's disappearance now took on sinister significance. His enthusiastic participation in search efforts wasn't evidence of grief. It was a calculated performance designed to avoid suspicion while monitoring the investigations. Progress to his emotional breakdowns during family gatherings weren't signs of a devastated uncle but the psychological strain of maintaining such a massive lie. On November 8, 2023, exactly 36 years and 5 days after Maria Santos disappeared, search teams led by Miguel's confession found her remains in South Mountain Park. The discovery brought closure to a family that had spent decades wondering, but it also revealed the devastating truth that their greatest fear had been hiding among them all along. Miguel Santos died in hospice care on December 15, 2023, before formal charges could be filed. The case that had haunted Phoenix's Hispanic community for decades was finally solved. But the resolution brought as much pain as peace to a family that discovered their trusted protector had been their daughter's killer. Carmen Santos, now 78 years old, faces the remainder of her life knowing that she spent 36 years mourning with the man who had murdered her daughter, the Sunday dinners, the shared grief, the family holidays, all had been contaminated by Miguel's presence and his secret knowledge of Maria's fate. For Detective Morrison, who had retired years earlier, Miguel's confession validated his instinct that Maria's disappearance involved someone she knew and trusted, but it also highlighted the limitations of 1987 investigative techniques and the devastating effectiveness of family members who hide in plain sight. Maria Santos' case serves as a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predators are those closest to us, protected by trust and family bonds that make suspicion seem like betrayal. If you're following cases like this, make sure to subscribe for more investigations that reveal how justice, even when delayed by decades, can finally emerge from the shadows of family secrets.